In order for you to love God with all your soul, heart, mind, and strength, it all boils down to one question: what are you feeding yourself? In order for you to love God with your everything, you need to check if what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're reading, the things that you spend most of your time doing, you need to check whether that is conducive to your relationship with God or not. Love the Lord your God with all your mind. The mind can be defined as your intellect, knowing God's truths, understanding God's truths, and making the decision to obey and follow what God says. In order for you to love God with all your heart and with all your mind, you need to renew your mind. Romans 12 verse 2 tells us that we should not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but we should be transformed by the renewing of our mind. The way that you think influences your decisions and your behaviors. So if you think about God and you think about His Word, and then you make the decision to obey what His Word says, you can easily incorporate His Word into your life. You can easily incorporate God into your life, and it becomes like the Word becomes who you are. How do you renew your mind and change your mind? It's by changing the things that you feed yourself, the things that you allow into your life, and the things that you entertain. Philippians 4 verse 8 says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things." Whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, according to the Word, according to God, whatever is in alignment with God, think about these things. What are you thinking? What thoughts are you entertaining? Are the thoughts that you have honoring God, or are they feeding into your flesh? In order for you to love God with all your mind, you need to set your thoughts on things that are good, things that are holy, things that are God. Because what's in your thoughts, what's in your mind, gets adopted by your heart. And what's in your heart shows in your behavior, shows in the things that you do, shows in the things that you spend most of your time doing. So whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, pure, lovely, admirable, according to God, whatever honors God, those are the type of things that you're supposed to be thinking about. That's what you need to be feeding yourself on a day-to-day basis. Our minds need to be anchored in God. Our minds need to be anchored in the Word. Our minds need to be anchored in godly things. Colossians 3 verse 1 says, "Since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God." Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. In order for you to love God with all your mind, this needs to change. So that you're no longer thinking about worldly things, but you start thinking about godly things. You start thinking about whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is lovely, whatever is pure, whatever is admirable to God, whatever honors God. That's how you love the Lord your God with all your mind, is by ensuring that the things that are up here are in God's heart as well. Love the Lord your God with all your strength. Strength basically has to do with the physical aspect of loving God. It's showing God that you love Him through your actions. It's basically the amount of energy that you give to God, I think. Yeah, it makes sense to me that way. The amount of energy that you give to God to show Him that you love Him. It's your motivation to do certain things, your desire to do certain things, and that shows in your actions. So like, if loving God is your motivation, then it shows in the things that you do. If loving God is your desire, then it shows in the things that you do. So loving the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, it means that you are honoring God and you are showing your love for Him through your words, your behavior, your thoughts, and your actions. All these four, they work together. You cannot love God with one part of your life and think that you are loving God with everything, or that think that you are loving God at all. The verse says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. This is the greatest and the most important commandment. It's very important that we love God with all of us, with all areas of our life, with all parts of our lives, with all aspects. It's important that we love Him with our words, being very careful about what it is that we are speaking, filling our hearts with goodness, filling our hearts with His word, filling our hearts with everything that He is, so that we are speaking life, to love Him with our behavior, to ensure that what we are feeding ourselves with is influencing us to make decisions that lead our behaviors towards God. Loving Him with our thoughts, ensuring that our mind is renewed, that we are transformed by the renewing of our thoughts, that we are not thinking about what the world is thinking about. We are not focusing on what the world is trying to feed us, but our minds are focused on what is pure, what is noble, what is lovely, what is admirable towards God, that our thoughts are honoring Him in every aspect, and that we are loving Him through our actions, the things that we do, the things we do for others, the things we do in private, that all of that is honoring God and is showing respect towards God. In order for you to love God, to actually say that you love God, you need to be loving Him with your words, with your behaviors, with your thoughts, and with your actions. You cannot only love Him with your words and think that you love God. You cannot only love Him with your behavior and think that you love God. You cannot love Him with your thoughts only and think that you love God. But all these things, they work together. They're linked. It's almost like just like a line, like a race, right? When I have this point, it leads to this point, it leads to this point, it leads to this point. I cannot love Him half-heartedly. I cannot love Him with only 1/4 of these areas. If you say that you really, really love God, then all of these areas are in check. And in order for you to check whether these areas in your life are in check, ask yourself, what are you feeding yourself? Because that's the basis of all of these. If you can just check what you're feeding yourself, check what you're feeding yourself. Because what you're feeding yourself influences what you speak. Because from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What you're feeding yourself influences what you speak, influences your words. What you're feeding yourself influences your behavior. What you're feeding yourself influences what you think about, what your mind is focused on. What you feed yourself influences your actions, influences what you do. So check, what are you feeding yourself in order for you to work towards loving God completely with your everything? What are you feeding yourself? Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was very helpful and that you guys took something out of this. I pray that each and every one of you get to love God with your absolute everything. I pray that each and every one of you love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, with all your words, your behavior, your thoughts, and your actions, and that you live a life that shows and screams, I love God and my life is all about Him. Be sure to comment down below what your greatest takeaway was, whatever you learned the most, or whatever stood out the most to you. Please let me know in the comments. Let's get a conversation going and discuss all the points that we learned today. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.